7:22 coming up towards 7:23 in Trinidad and Tobago. Well, today marks the 28th anniversary of Elder Associates Limited. It's an organization known for its full spectrum of psychological services. Well, the COVID-19 pandemic has forced some to pay more attention to their mental health and open the avenue for more advocacy. Well, Elder Associates has embarked on a drive to promote mental health awareness during these challenging times. And here to tell us more is Dr. Brent Pereira, who is the clinical director with Elder Associates. Dr. Pereira, very good morning to you. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
And before we broaden our discussion about the challenges to mental health brought on by the pandemic and all its associated impacts, tell us about the initiatives of your organization as far as dealing with the challenges that might be faced by many members of our population.
Mm-hmm. So Elder Associates Limited, as you highlighted earlier, is an employee assistance program and psychological services provider. So we provide counseling services and support to employees, as well as support for organizations who find that because of the distress or concerns that employees might be having, it impacts their productivity. So we provide counseling and support services for individuals, as well as employees, as well as organizations.
All right, so what's the first port of call? If someone is saying, look, I need to avail myself of these services, what do I have to do as far as reaching out?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so if Elder Associates Limited is the employee assistance program provider for your organization, then that person can simply call 226-4325, and one of our front desk staff will be happy to set up an appointment with them. Or they could simply go to our website, www.eldertt.com, and there's a contact form under Contact Us, and we will contact them to set up an appointment. In addition, we also have a 24-hour emergency support line. So that is available for employees of organizations that have contracted us to provide this service for them. Private individuals as well can access our services, but in addition as well, even if an individual is not part of one of the organizations or one of the employers that we serve, we are still able to make referrals and to connect them to community resources that might be able to suit their needs.
And as far as the organization is concerned, and indeed, has there been a greater demand for services during this time of the pandemic?
There has been. I think that given one of the things that I think is important to note with the pandemic in our culture, while we are open to receiving support from our communities and friends and family members, I think one of the things that distinguishes this experience is we're all in it together. So whereas previously, if I might be having challenges or difficulties, I could talk to a friend, a colleague, or somebody else about it, and they're able to provide support. Because we're all in this, people's capacity sometimes to provide support to others is sometimes limited. And so what we find is that people are more inclined to turn to professionals who are able to provide that support to them. So I think it is an opportunity, whereas before they might have been more reluctant to avail themselves of the services available. I think that now people are realizing the value and the virtue in accessing counseling services.
And Dr. Pereira, let's talk about wellness, because you hear that more and more, wellness.
Yes.
And some will say, look, the only thing that I insist about wellness is I want my salary so my account will be well, and basically everything else will fall in place after that. But when we talk about wellness and the importance of wellness and what constitutes a definition of wellness, if we're talking about a mental health situation in Trinidad and Tobago, what are we talking about here?
Mm-hmm. So and that's a great question. So one of the things that we're focusing increasingly on wellness as opposed to mental health, when we talk about mental health, traditionally people tend to see it as very discrete, a discrete concept. Either you're mentally healthy or not, similarly to like physical illness. But when we talk about wellness, it goes beyond just the absence of a clinical diagnosis or the absence of a mental disorder, but rather wellness really looks at the optimal state of health and is really expressed according to the World Health Organization as a positive approach to living. So essentially what it looks at is how an individual strives to realize their potential, to really in a way that I guess in local terms, or I guess in a way that is common in popular culture, to live their best life, you know? And so it constitutes a multitude of components ranging from 6 to 8 to 12, depending on which model you focus on. But what it looks at is, am I taking care of a holistic approach to my life? Sorry. Am I looking at multiple aspects? So my emotional state, my social state, myself as a physical being, as a spiritual being, as an intellectual being. So really looking at focusing and paying attention to multiple aspects of an individual and who a person is. And how can I strive to make improvements, always striving to be better, always striving towards optimal functioning in these areas.
And but are we inclined to even get to that point of addressing those issues? Because you have the stigma, this whole stigma. Because from the time you say mental health, even now, from the time you say mental health, people open up their eyes and back away from you because they think that is something either they don't want to talk about, or they don't want to be associated with somebody who's talking about, seeing a therapist, involved in counseling. They're in counseling because they're trying to work through some issues and so on. Because again, how strong is that stigma still in our Trinidad and Tobago environment when it comes to understanding that that this is all part of the process towards better mental health?
I think we have been making strides, but there is some stigma. A lot of the population still think when they hear mental health or they hear the suggestion of counseling, the first response is, I am mad. That is for mad people, and whereas we could understand part of where that stigma might come from, because traditionally mental health was really centralized through the St. Anne's Asylum back in 1900. But over time, we have been making strides as a country to really decentralize mental health. And I think the next step is really focusing on wellness, as opposed to, like I mentioned, this polarized concept or this binary concept of mental health as being healthy or not. But really looking at it is a concern for everybody, for all individuals. And really, how can we all strive to really realize our full potential, to really cope with the normal stresses of life, to work productively and to make a contribution to our community? Because essentially, that is what wellness is. How can we really focus and help each member of our community, each person, really exist and have a satisfactory life?
And even as we're having our discussion, Dr. Pereira, and again, we remind ourselves that Elder Associates celebrating its 20th anniversary, which means that you would have started, 1993? So 28 years hence. I suppose there would have been a lot of different, either individuals coming through the system at Elder Associates, and different organizations that would have partnered with you. Tell us a bit about that journey and those who would have contributed to the work of the organization so far.
So 28 years is quite a significant amount of time. I know I feel really privileged to be part of, this legacy of Elder Associates Limited. And to date, there have been over 200 clinicians, be it psychologists, counselors, social workers, or team members in terms of front desk staff, but the team of people that really have worked with Elder Associates Limited, with Dr. Patricia Elder from 1993 to the present date. But also as well, we have been really involved with the community, with the partnerships that we have developed. And so over time, particularly for our anniversary, we see it as an opportunity to give back and to serve the community, because we do take our corporate responsibility very seriously. So in the past, we have invited international speakers to celebrate with us and with the community. So in the past, we've had Iyanla Van Sant, we've had Deepak Chopra. A couple of years ago, we also focused on violence prevention. This year, we are partnering with the Fondes Amanda's Community Restoration Project. So today, our team is heading up to St. Anne's to really partake in their restoration project and help with planting trees and reforestation work that they are doing. So it is really about finding different areas of the community where we can provide support. And again, connected to the idea of wellness, it is beyond just the emotional aspect. So we do try as well to practice what we preach in terms of wellness and focus on multiple aspects of the human experience.
And before we give a reminder to all our listeners and viewers as to how they can reach out to the organization if they require the services of Elder Associates. You mentioned a couple of names there, Deepak Chopra and Iana Van Zandt and so on. And I often wonder, sometimes, I haven't ever managed to listen to an entire contribution from these individuals, but sometimes I wonder if they're reaching out to me at all, because I often wonder if these international speakers, if sometimes the message is relevant to an individual's particular circumstances, because sometimes you might hear, whether it's Deepak Chopra or anybody else, for example, with some lovely thing about calming down and understanding your space in the world and so on, and then somebody might say, well, he don't understand my issue. I have no job. I have 5 children to deal with, no husband, this and that and the other. So he could be as calm as he want. He ain't making no sense to me.
And that is understandable. I think one of the key points at Elder Associates Limited we practice is cultural sensitivity and relevance. And so even when we do partner with international individuals, we pay attention to how can we curate the experience so that it is applicable to our local culture, to the people that we serve. And all the work that we do comes from a very Trinidad and Tobago centric focus, if I want to put it like that, because at the core of our work, it is about us doing work for our people, with our people, by our people.
And how would you place it? If you were to talk about the spectrum, and I'm asking you a tough question here, if you were to put us on the spectrum of where we are at, if you were to say like on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being severe and 1 being in a good place, where would you place us as a nation based on your exposure to people and organizations dealing with issues and challenges related to wellness and mental health? Where would you place us?
I will answer that in 2 parts. One, I would say as a people, I would say we are about a 6. And then in the sense of how we are coping with situations, I think we are really blessed in terms of the personality and the culture of our people and the resilience that we have. But then second to that also as well, I want to highlight the resources that we have available. So in terms of the fact that we have public mental health facilities that are free and available, the fact that we have community resources through NGOs such as Childline, such as Rape Crisis Society, the fact that we have a myriad of private psychologists and clinicians which people can access through the Trinidad and Tobago Association of Psychologists website. We have organizations like EAPATT, the Employee Assistance Professionals Association of Trinidad and Tobago. So I think we have a lot of resources. I think we as a people, we also are using them increasingly. And so I think that positions us well in terms of on the spectrum.
All right. Well, before time runs out on us, Dr. Pereira, just quickly, just remind everybody once again, as you celebrate the 28th anniversary of Elder Associates, just remind everybody once again how they can reach out to your organization.
So they can reach out to us at 226-4325, or they can go to www.eldertt.com.
Dr. Brent Pereira, the Clinical Director at Elder Associates, thank you very much, and congratulations on your organization hitting 28 years. Thank you very much again.
Thank you very much.
Then indeed it would have been September the 17th, 1993, when the organization would have been established, Elder Associates, and providing services and vital services, especially in this time of the pandemic. 7:36 in Trinidad and Tobago. Well, hopefully we're going to give you an image now that will get you in a calm, relaxed mood as well. Here's a sunset captured in Charlottesville in Tobago, sent to us by Miss Bailey. And now for this image, our viewer captions as Owly spent the whole day at my sister's house in Freeport, just sitting there and looking at her every move. That's a bit disconcerting if you were to have that owl staring at you whole day with the size of those eyes, quite obviously, because they are nocturnal, so they would usually be out at night looking for prey. A little disturbing, I'll have to say. 7:37 in Trinidad and Tobago. We'll be right back.